Yeah.
Uh, so Boston is quite, in my opinion, the most interesting one because they have Jason Tatum, who is out for the entire season. This following year, um, they had the highest team salary of all time. They have Jason Tatum, who is going to get the biggest contract of all time. Jaylen Brown was previously that. Like they have two guys making 35% maxes. They have Porzingis making a big chunk of money. They have Holiday making a big chunk of money. They just signed that Derek White extension. They don't know what the Horford situation is, and then it's just a whole bunch of stuff going on, and they might not be a good team next season because Tatum's going to miss the entirety of the season. What do you think the pivot point is for the Boston Celtics in their position? What would you do for context? They are rumored to want to get under the second apron, which I believe they're currently like $20 million over. Uh, so they are going to have to shed some real salary. Otherwise, like they're relatively stuck with what they have. I'm gonna give you the
Yeah.
floor. What do you think?
So I think I think if they do pivot and want to get under that second apron salary, there's a couple guys that you can definitely do. I think one of the big ones and one of the names that you're going to be hearing a lot is Kristaps Porzingis. Considering he's been pretty much unhealthy throughout his Celtics tenure, I mean, he obviously got it together for the run in the playoffs or for the championship last year, but this year, I mean, just terrible health, and then in the playoffs he goes and probably plays the least impact basketball I've ever seen, especially in the Knicks series. And he wasn't really much around for the Orlando series, Patrick, unless I'm missing something. So I think Kristaps Porzingis is an interesting trade candidate. He's definitely making a lot of money. I believe that would put him under the salary cap or under the second apron. Drew Holiday, I think, is a guy that you could do as well, and he still has like a lot of or not draft trade value. So you could possibly get a star and maybe a second round pick for Drew Holiday, especially with a lot of guys needing guards or a lot of teams needing guards in the league. And I think what they should do for their free agent situation, I think with the questions around Porzingis and Hal Horford, we don't know if he's going to be retiring or returning. Luke Cornett, I think, is a huge must to re-sign. Really good. He took a big step this year. And he was also really impactful in the Knicks series. And honestly, he's been a good defensive center for them for years now. Obviously, just a really good guy off the bench. And I do think that he's going to be getting some offers this offseason. So I think that re-signing him would be big. But yeah, I think you definitely look to trade either Porzingis or Holiday. If you are in that win now mode, I would probably look for Holiday because he still has some trade value. Unfortunately, Porzingis being injured so much, I don't know who really wants to a take on the contract and b take on the unhealthiness of him. Especially he's like 32 now or something, right, Pat? Like
Well, here I have the number in front of me actually. He's entering his age 30 season.
yeah, okay, 30. Yeah, but and then with all the injuries and how tall he is, there's definitely some concerns there, but you can still get something for him. And that would help with the contract. Um, but yeah, that's probably what I would say. The Jason Tatum situation is terrible. Um, it really hurts them. It really sucks. And now we have to see what Jaylen Brown like. Is he really worth that $300 million he got? Because in the playoffs, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I think the one untouchable outside of Jason Tatum is Derek White here. Like no matter what happens here, Derek White is 20, or I guess he's 30 years old now, but he's relatively young. He's playing still amazing basketball. He fits next to anybody, and his contract is the cheapest out of their starting lineup. I think Derek White should never be touched here. Cornette, it's unfortunate, but I don't think they're going to have the means to be able to bring back Cornette. unless they shed more money than even you and I are expecting them to shed. If I had to guess, they're more likely just going to try to duck under the second apron to make it to where they're not repeating that in a season where they're not going to have Tatum. Um, the easy way to look at it is they have Porzingis next year on an expiring 30 million, and then Holiday has this huge contract that extends for another 2 years after that for 34, 35 plus in each of those 2 years. And I think you could get more in return for Drew Holiday. He is older. Um, and what it does is you keep Porzingis for a year. You get to kind of find out some stuff about Porzingis if you want to end up bringing him back after that season, even if it's at a cheaper salary than his 30 million. I understand he was still much worse than Holiday in the playoffs, and I would agree. Like Drew Holiday honestly kept them in the first 2 games against the New York Knicks. But I think you would get a lot more in return for Drew Holiday than you would for Porzingis at this time, and that's crazy because Drew Holiday is about to be 35. Um, so in my opinion, the most likely guy to get moved is Holiday, because I just don't know what Porzingis' market is right now. It could
Yeah,
be there still, but I don't necessarily know. Um, I did think about Jaylen Brown stuff, and I do have an outlandish trade cooked up for if they were to move off of Jaylen Brown. And I would say it's maybe not even a move off Jaylen Brown trade. It's a trade for somebody else trade. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't say Jaylen Brown's off the table either because I think they could get a haul for Jaylen Brown. Very possible that they could. And like even you look at like Sam Hauser, like Sam Hauser is very like possible to just be a cap casualty here, even though he's good. Like
yeah,
they drafted Baylor Shireman a year ago.
yeah.
Like might as well shed the $10 million for Sam Hauser. And I got the outlandish trade. I'll pull it up here real quick. It was from a while ago. All right, it is a three. No, it's a four-teamer, so this is pretty complicated. But one team is just taking on salary. It's recently been rumored that Giannis is likely going to be going. If I'm the Celtics, I am sending Jaylen Brown away for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Um, Send Jaylen Brown to Milwaukee. 3 first-round picks. Whoever the other team that I included was the Warriors because they could sign and trade Kuminga to Milwaukee, and that could be an interesting rebuilding piece. And they would get either Porzingis or Drew Holiday, whichever one of them Golden State would want. And then, you just fill in, the salaries to make it work. I think, Portis, I think, gets included in it. Other than that, Boston doesn't end up. They don't even have to give up Hauser or Pritchard. Pritchard could honestly end up being a trade chip. I think there's a possibility that a team gives you just a treasure chest for Peyton Pritchard. I would say they're a little incorrect, but it's possible. I think there's a lot of different ways to go. I think what's most likely going to happen is one or two of Holiday or Porzingis is going to be removed from the roster, and I think Al Horford will be back. Um, but in
He was
my
a big
opinion,
part, like low key, he was a big part of that Celtics team. Coming off the bench, he was a good shooter this year. 9 points a game too.
yeah, I mean Al Horford is awesome. Al Horford has like the sneakiest Hall of Fame case of all time. Um, in your position, would you trade Jaylen Brown your last remaining picks for
To be
Giannis
honest,
Antetokounmpo? Yeah,
yeah, especially if he's how much is left on his contract, Pat, on Giannis's?
Giannis. I think
How
it's
many
like
years?
2 years. You get 2 years of Giannis guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, if you're only giving up Brown, I think it's not ridiculous to say at all that Jalen Brown is not as good as Giannis Antetokounmpo. It'd be interesting. It would give guys like Braden Pritchard a lot more opportunity to play, maybe even start. Um, maybe.
Yeah,
And we saw what he did as a six man of the year. And Giannis, that'd be sick as hell to see Giannis on the Celtics. Or probably not my first pick, but I think for the Celtics it would be great, especially if you can get 1 year of Tatum and Giannis. I mean that's 60 wins right there. So
Yeah, and even think about it this way, like if you look later down the line and you're like, okay, so we can't, because I think for a long time the question about Tatum and Brown playing together, like, it was very real, and I still think it is very real. And I think they overcame that because of how good their overall team was. They were able to overcome that. And you take away like the super stacked roster that they had a year ago, and I'm not sure, like we might just be asking the same question we asked for 5 years,
Yeah,
from 2019 to 2023. Like we might just ask those questions again. So just go ahead, get ahead of it. I mean, in their position, Jaylen Brown might not be worth 35%. Giannis definitely is. Um, so you go ahead and get ahead of the mark that way. I don't think Milwaukee's going to be able to get a better individual player for Giannis than if the Celtics make Jaylen Brown available.
yeah,
Unless like maybe like there's a Zion situation that ends up coming out of nowhere that we don't really expect. But I would say like Jaylen Brown's probably going to be the best available player for Milwaukee, and that's why I would say Milwaukee would have some interest. They also get Kuminga and first round picks. Like hell yeah, dude. Like, it could be a decent place to start. And then, you have Giannis to get you through a season without Tatum, and then you have Giannis and Tatum. Like,
yeah.
I think every NBA team would be signing up for that situation. Yeah, I mean, do you have anything else on Boston?
No,
I
I
mean,
think I think I said everything.
yeah, I mean, these questions were looming regardless of if they had won in the second round or not. And now it is like a reality that this championship core is getting broken up. And yeah, it's just kind of crazy. I didn't think we would be in this position already with Boston. But yeah, second apron penalties are pretty huge. So we'll be seeing a big offseason from Boston.